And to think that we thought that we'd never be friends. By Marianne Hoberman, illustrated by Kevin Hawkes. Published by Dell Dragonfly Books, New York, New York. One day we were playing outside in our yard when my brother got mad and he pushed me quite hard. Then I pushed him right back with all of my might, and suddenly, quick as a wink, we were in a fight. We thacked and we whacked and we walloped away, and we still might be fighting to this very day, pinching and punching my brother and I, if only our sister had not happened by. She was sipping some soda out of a cup, and said she would share if we would make up. And since we were thirsty and tired and sore, we each took a drink and ended our war. It's funny how quickly an argument ends, and to think that we thought we would never be friends. That night after supper we turned on TV, but we couldn't agree on what show to see. I wanted one and my sister another, and both of us hated the choice of my brother. And probably would be arguing yet if our dad hadn't come in and turned off the set. So we put on pajamas and curled up on his bed, and he read us a wonderful story instead. It's funny how quickly an argument ends, and to think that we thought that we would never be friends. A day or two later, it wasn't much more. A great big new family moved in right next door. How many were in it we couldn't quite tell, but they each played an instrument, and not very well. One played a tuba and one a bassoon. They practiced all morning and all afternoon. They practiced all evening and all through the night, and they kept us from sleeping. It just wasn't right. So we got out of bed with a hippity-hop, and we marched off together to beg them to stop. But when we arrived there, they asked us to play, and they did it so nicely, what could we say? I took a whistle, my sister a flute, and my brother a trumpet that gave a loud toot. My dad took a bugle, my mother took a drum, and we all forgot totally why we had come. It's funny how quickly an argument ends, and to think that we thought we would never be friends. All of a sudden, we heard a loud blare. A siren came wailing from out of thin air. A police car pulled over and jumped the police, and they told us that we were disturbing the peace. They said if we didn't stop playing that minute, they'd take us to jail and put all of us in it. My brother got red, my sister grew pale, and everyone trembled at going to jail. But my mother explained that the noise we had made was because we were practicing for a parade. She said that the siren had sounded so grand that she hoped they would ride at the head of our band. It's funny how quickly an argument ends. Now all of the police had turned into our friends. We marched down the street, and each person we passed loudly complained at our ear-splitting blast. They begged us to deaden our deafening din until we invited them all to join in. We offered them boxes and kettles and spoons, and once they were playing, they all changed their tune. They were so pleased by the music we made that they became part of our splendid parade. More and more people stepped right into place. More and more people kept up with our pace, strutting and striding and stamping their feet, marching in time to the drum's steady beat. Friends who had squabbled and even stopped talking settled their differences once they were walking, smiled at each other and marched hand in hand, keeping the beat of our wonderful band. And then we could hardly believe what we saw. Dog and cat enemies marched paw in paw, and when our procession arrived at the zoo, lions and tigers joined in with us too. It's funny how quickly unfriendliness ends, and to think that we thought we could never be friends. Our music was magic, a magnet to all. As to a Pied Piper, they came at its call. And as we kept marching and tooting and drumming, the people kept coming and coming and coming. Hundreds and thousands came running to find us. Thousands and millions fell in right behind us. What a cacophony, what a commotion. Then all of a sudden, we were at the ocean. We came to the place where the whole country ends, with hundreds and thousands and millions of friends. Oh, what could we do now? We started to fret. We couldn't keep marching without getting wet. Then, just as we all began to turn around, we heard a most odd and unusual sound. It wasn't a moan, it wasn't a cry, it wasn't a groan, it wasn't a sigh. It was more like a humming high up the scale, a whisper, a whistle, a whimper, a wail. A wail? No! A whale! Yes, hundreds or more, all of them swimming straight into shore, singing their whale song and grinning with glee, so we jumped on their backs and sailed straight out to sea. Sharks swam around us with baring their teeth. Stingrays kept rising far from underneath. But somehow the song and the music we played convinced them to join our ocean parade. For music is magic, it soothes and it mends. And to think that we thought we would never be friends. We crossed the wide ocean and washed up on land, where people kept hearing the sound of our band, and even ones who first came to protest soon were parading along with the rest. And it's hard to believe, but I swear that it's true. By the time we were finished and finally through, we'd all gotten back to the place we first played. The whole world was marching in one big parade. And before we disbanded, each went on our way. We voted to march every year on that day, to march side by side with friends we had made, and the friends we had made up one big parade. And from this day to this, just what we do, with the police siren blaring and horns tooting too, with our pots and our pans and our trumpets and drums, everyone comes. And this is our cheer every year when it ends. Forever and ever, we'll always be friends.